Hello, and a very warm welcome to today's information session that we have. I'm Associate Professor Benita Bisindoy-Albinik, and I'm the Associate Dean Finance at RMIT University. Before we kickstart today's discussion, I would like to make an acknowledgement of country. I would like to acknowledge the people of the Woi Wurrung and the Boon Wurrung language groups of the Eastern Kulin Nation on whose unceded land we conduct the business of the university. RMIT University respectfully acknowledges the ancestors and elders past and present. RMIT also acknowledges the traditional custodian and the ancestors of the lands and waters across Australia and where we conduct our business. So today, as we join across different places in Victoria today, I welcome you once again to this information session. Next slide, please. Before we go in the details of the different majors that we're going to present today, I would start off by presenting to the amazing panel of experts that we have who are going to talk about the four different majors in the Bachelor of Business at RMIT. The four different majors would be the major of the blockchain, the major of economics, major of finance, and major of marketing. To present those, we have Associate Professor Stuart Thomas, who is going to talk about major of blockchain. We will have Associate Professor Ashton De Silva, who is the Associate Dean Economics, and also Dr. Sveta Angelopoulos, who is going to be talking on economics together with him. We will then have the major of finance, who is going to be presented by the program manager, Dr. Nirav Parikh, which will be then followed by Associate Dean Marketing, Dr. Linda Robinson. So without taking a lot of time, I will now going to introduce Associate Professor Stuart Thomas, who's going to talk on the major of blockchain. Before handing to Stuart, I'll just have to mention some housekeeping, please. We will go through the four different majors with all the information, and we will have some set question time at the end, which is going to be 15 to 20 minutes. So please, however, in the meantime, I would strongly encourage you to submit your questions using the Q&A tool on the right at any time, and we will do our best to answer your question in the meantime. Over to you, Stuart. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Benita. Well, my job today is to talk to you about our major specialization in blockchain-enabled business. We have a very good reason for calling it that, which I'll get to in just a moment. Could I have the next slide, please? Okay, so our degree specialization in blockchain is about the skills and knowledge that you need to enable businesses to adapt and to adopt and incorporate the technology into their operations. You might have heard of Bitcoin. I'd be surprised if any of you haven't. This is the technology that underpins and was developed originally for Bitcoin, to make Bitcoin work. But we have learned over the last decade or so that there are many, many, many more applications for blockchain technology, and it is emerging as very much a transformational and foundational economic and social and business technology for the digital economy that's unfolding in front of us. So we will talk to you, we'll take you through where blockchain fits in the business and economic and social setting. So we take fairly deep dives into the economic dimensions of blockchain, into crypto finance, the money side, and fintech, financial technology. We take you through project work in how to build and use your own smart contracts, which are the sort of foundational or fundamental element of most applications of blockchain. We look at a lot of case study stuff around different applications in different industries, and I'll talk to some of those in a little bit. Very importantly, we take you through the legal, ethical, accounting, and regulatory dimensions, which are growing in importance in recent times. And we have a couple of very sort of project-focused, industry-mentored courses that are project-driven, about solving real-life or business problems of your own invention, or brought to us by an industry partner. Next slide, please. So what's blockchain? I mentioned it a moment ago, that it's becoming a general purpose foundational technology for the way all kinds of businesses work. And a useful reflection here is to say that every time we've had a step change in the way that we handle information, which is what we're seeing here. So in the middle of last century, for example, we saw the rise of computing, we saw the rise of spreadsheeting tools, we saw the rise of globalization via the internet that gave us the forms of multinational corporation as we understand them now, and many, many other sorts of business engagement across the world. This is happening again. So we're kind of moving from what we call Web 2 to Web 3, and blockchain is a fundamental element of that. Now, what's it used for? Pretty much everything. We're seeing applications in all sorts of settings, from digital identity to rights management, to all sorts of payments, to medical and health, to creative industries like assuring the provenance of artworks and protecting intellectual property, ticketing in football and other sorts of sports, stock control and logistics and supply chain. There are many, many, many different applications for blockchain and more emerging all of the time. Next slide, please, Tim. And these are just to illustrate that point. These are some of the industry partners that we work with. I work in a group called the Blockchain Innovation Hub here at RMIT, and these are some of the partners that we either currently do or have done projects with. So we have groups like Power Ledger in the energy industry, BTC Markets in finance and exchanges, Type Human, Red Cross and Oxfam in the social welfare and charity business, for want of a better description, Parlour Gigs, the Australia Council, Screen Australia, the National Film and Sound Archive in the creative industries, and the very, very big tech players as well, like IBM, like Ernst Young, like Oracle, like KPMG, big banks like ANZ, the range of, as well as government, Department of Industry, Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Department of Premier and Cabinet. We work with many, many different kinds of organisations on hosts of different sorts of applications and levels. And all of those translate into our programs. We bring all of that industry engagement and research work into our degree programs. Next slide. So why study it? Well, I've kind of made the point that it's important and becoming more so, but we can put some numbers to that importance now. In a very recent survey earlier this year by PwC, there are estimates that blockchain is expected to boost global GDP by $500 billion by 2025. That's only a couple of years away, and nearly $2 trillion by 2030. It's going to be hugely important in the global economy. Just this week, the Visa Corporation has bought a CryptoPunk NFT for $165,000, which kind of legitimizes that kind of business. You can trade cryptocurrencies on PayPal now. Many big enterprises, as surveyed by the World Economic Forum, more than half, close to 60% of major enterprises intend adopting blockchain in the next couple of years. But perhaps most importantly for you is the next couple of points. That CSIRO's Data 61 group identifies greater than 200% year-on-year job growth over the last 4 or 5, 6 years. And about half of that growth is in what we call non-technical or business enabling skills. And it's for that we have framed this degree specialization. And it's clearly identified as a lack of in-house skills is one of the major impediments to enterprises of all sorts to adopting the technology. So it's a huge growth opportunity, a huge job market opportunity for you. Next slide. Why study it with us? We're in Melbourne. We're in a little corner of the world, somewhere down near the bottom, but we are world leaders in this blockchain space. It doesn't matter where you are in blockchain and blockchain innovation. We are very uniquely positioned because we have the world's first research centre and education centre in blockchain for enterprises and for the social sciences, so economics, business, social sciences, social enterprise, finance, and so forth. A number of our key members, our leaders in the group, are members of Australia's National Blockchain Roadmap and the Prime Minister's Task Force on the Digital Economy. So we're very much at the pointy end of what's happening in blockchain here in Australia and elsewhere. Our courses and the degrees have been structured and designed in partnership with leading blockchain industry partners, some of those that I mentioned a couple of slides ago. And we are the first and only curated blockchain for business degree in the country. Next slide, please, Tim. Alongside blockchain, in the degree structure, you have some choices about what you do as either a second major or minor specializations. I've just listed some of the useful ones here that are good partners with a blockchain enabled business first major. So finance, economics, accounting, law, marketing are all fields where there is plenty of opportunity. And some of the more modern combinations that we put together, entrepreneurship and strategy, behavioral business, data insights and advanced data insights, business and tech, and social impact are all important dimensions within enterprises of all sorts, where there is a huge appetite for blockchain skills. Next slide. Next slide, please, Tim. Thank you. What are the jobs you can look for? In this field, it's growing and emerging all the time, and new jobs are coming up, the likes of which we haven't seen before. So on that list there, you'll see, say, token designer or manager, blockchain strategist. A lot of people are going into their own startups, as well as the more traditional sorts of analyst and consultant type jobs that you might move into in a big firm setting, like an Ernst Young or a KPMG or an Accenture or one of those sorts of consulting firms, and the many big enterprises in finance and other government as well, all have an appetite for functions and roles in blockchain, some of which may not have existed even a year or two ago. Next slide. So these are the key takeaways. It's an important disruptive technology that's changing the way all sorts of businesses are operating. Skills are extremely highly sought after, and our specialization here at RMIT, designed with industry, in partnership with major thought leaders in the blockchain space, is unique in the blockchain education space. It's the first of its kind, and so far the only one of its kind. So I'll finish there and say thank you for listening, and I will hand you back, to Benita.
Thank you very much, Stuart, for your presentation on the major of blockchain. And we'll now move to the major of economics. And I would invite Associate Professor Ashton De Silva, who is Associate Dean Economics, and also Dr. Sveta Angelopoulos, who is the Program Manager for the Bachelor of Economics and Finance, to present on the major of economics. Over to you, Ashton.
Thank you, Benita. And I must say, I think I have the best job today because I get to explain to you how great economics is and the future that you can have by undertaking a qualification in economics. Next slide, please. So what is it all about? Well, look, it really is about almost anything and everything. In fact, what that word cloud will show you there is that, in fact, there's no aspect of your personal or your professional life that economics is not useful. In fact, economics will give you an insight in how to excel in each of these spheres. You'll learn how to understand how people interact and with different organisations, with governments, both internationally as well as nationally. You'll learn a set of skills that are actually very, very important, and they are unique to economics. The other thing that you will learn is you will learn the tools that are essential to deal with some of the biggest challenges that we're actually facing. If you think of climate change, you think of things like that actually affect society as a whole. These are the skills. These are this is actually the knowledge that you will accrue when you enroll into an economics program. Next slide, please. Now, there are 3 reasons to undertake and to enroll into economics. The first reason is this: you get to choose. You can choose which sector that you want to work in. You can choose what job that you want to have. In fact, there's been some research, and that actually research is done by the Reserve Bank of Australia, and that shows that people with economics degrees have a much wider outcome, or actually a much larger set of outcomes than people with than people who qualify in other fields. And you can see there, the list is finance, the list is government, you can be a behavioural scientist, you can be a policy officer. Really, the list is endless. It is your choice. Next slide, please. Another reason to undertake an economics program is the fact that you will earn lots. In fact, you'll probably earn more than many other people. And what this does show you here, and I just want you to focus on those two red bars, is that those red bars demonstrate that people with economics qualifications earn a lot of money, and they earn a lot more money than many of their peers. The top bar there is reference to econometrics, which is more like the data side, which is something that we do teach here, and Sveta will talk about that shortly. But also what this slide shows you is this, is that economics can be combined and it can value add to any other business program as well. And so there's another reason to take on economics. The choice that it gives you was number one. The second reason was because it gives you, or it actually gives you the potential to earn lots and therefore realise your dreams. And the third, it is also something that complements just about every other major in business. Next slide, please. And finally, another reason to take on economics, and I could go on all day, but for today, I'm going to limit myself to these three, and it's simply this, is that it's going to teach you skills, not only that are important for your first job, but important for every other job after that. In fact, economics gives you future skills, skills that you can take from one sector to another and from one role to another. And so therefore, I think, being biased, I know, that the choice is clear. If you want to excel, if you want to realise your aspirations, I'd encourage you to enrol in economics. Next slide, please. Now, next slide, please. Thank you. Now, there are 4 different aspects of the program that we have crafted here, and Sveta's going to talk a little bit more about this in detail, but I'll be very quick. The first is we're going to show you how to deal with data, and we're going to show you how to deal with evidence. The actual next thing is we're going to teach you something that is special, something that is unique that you won't get in any other qualification, tools that are essential. Then we're going to show you how to use those two things to actually determine what is the best outcome for both you and those that you represent. And finally, you're going to learn how to actually achieve those actual goals. Sveta, over to you.
Thanks, Ashton. Our courses have been designed to develop the knowledge and skills that are required by industry. Economic theory, modelling and analytics are embedded into real-world issues to support problem solving, decision making, and very importantly, the communication of outcomes. Next slide, please. The economics discipline has 3 well-recognised and established groups and centres that focus on the fundamental issues in our society. They are experts in their field. Next slide, please. Your academic staff don't just publish in the most reputable academic journals. They actively work with industry, various levels of government, think tanks, not-for-profit and charity organisations to solve and analyse fundamental problems to improve the outcomes for individuals, households and businesses. Next slide, please. Leading behavioural research and experiments take place in our behavioural lab. You will have access to this facility when undertaking a behavioural minor, if you participate in experiments, or even when you conduct your own experiments in postgraduate studies. Next slide, please. The economics major consists of 6 exciting core courses and the opportunity to choose 2 more economic electives. These courses will equip you with work-ready skills and knowledge that are applicable across numerous professional careers, as Ashton has highlighted. The courses have been designed to extend your thinking, reasoning, and importantly, questioning. They will help you to see what we call the unseen, so you understand the consequences of your actions and the actions of others. Next slide, please. You have great flexibility in the Bachelor of Business program, and we recommend the following structure for your economics major to ensure the best possible experience and outcome for you. Next slide, please. As an economics major student, you can develop your skills further by undertaking one or more economics minors, any of those in yellow. If you choose a different major, you can undertake any of the minors listed here, with advanced data in science becoming available as of 2023. Next slide, please. As Ashton has already highlighted, economics is applicable to a vast array of careers and will complement a large number of other majors that will enhance your employability. How could you possibly aim to be a CEO or a CFO or be a leader in any company without expertise in economics, a discipline that is focused on the world around us, the consequences of decision making, and the ability to make clean decisions unaffected by the very vocal lobby groups that are around us. An economics major or minor will be beneficial whether you want to work as an accountant, a financial trader or planner, a marketer, or in any leading or decision-making role in a company. Next slide, please. Just look at the world around you today. On a daily basis, we are discussing the economy as well as the economics of health, well-being, development, sustainability. The list is endless. Economics is an integral part of our society and underpins everything we do. You are our future business leaders. You are our future political leaders. Economics will train you to think and therefore lead rather than blindly follow. Next slide, please. Thank you so much for listening. I will turn it back to Benita. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sveta, for your presentation on the major of economics. And now we will invite Dr. Nirav Parekh, who is going to present on why you should be studying a major of finance at RMIT. Over to you, Nirav. Thank you.
Thank you, Benita. And I welcome you all to the presentation on major of finance. In today's world, finance knowledge is very relevant and necessary than ever before, as this does not only prepare you for careers in the financial market, it gets you ready for your task in everyday routine life. Like you want to know about putting a deposit in a bank, understand the performance of your super fund, get details about a housing loan, and so on. In the next few minutes, I will tell you what is finance and why you should study finance at RMIT, what you'll study in the degree, the structure of the program, and more importantly, the opportunities you will get to choose your own learning experiences and career paths. Next slide, please. Finance is a science concerned with the implications that arise from employing various money management strategies. For companies, which can be big or small, financial information assists them to make strategic decisions to have higher profit or increased profits, and also understand activities which are related to banking, from where to borrow money, where to invest money. In today's globalized environment, everybody depends on financial strategies and principles, including small startups like Afterpay to large corporations like BHP, CSL, corner shops which are just around the street, to supermarket chains like Coles, Woolworths, individuals like us, and government. I can tell you that every area of business is affected by finance. Next slide, please. Finance is one of Australia's leading growth industries. When you study finance at RMIT, you are learning in a discipline that is ranked amongst top 10 in Australia in teaching. You learn by doing trading simulations in our state-of-the-art trading facility. You develop skills in financial modeling and fintech, and all this gives you a competitive edge in the finance world. We are very proud of the finance team at RMIT. They are globally recognized researchers in areas such as sustainable finance, funds management, asset pricing, and the finance researchers are ranked amongst the top 8 in finance research in Australia. and you will get an opportunity to learn from them. You will also be taught by industry professionals who have working experience in the industry and with various government agencies. Next slide, please. When studying finance at RMIT, you will understand more about the banking industry, where to invest, about financial systems and markets. You will explore and learn more about the equity market, that is shares, the debt market, so more about fixed deposits, loans, foreign exchange, which is about currency market, and about different risk management techniques and investment trading strategies. Next slide, please. Now let's take a deeper look into what courses you will be studying as part of the finance major. Now, to complete a finance major, you have to do 8 core finance courses. We offer a very flexible approach to your studies. You will study the 6 foundation finance courses and 2 out of 4 specialist finance courses to complete your finance major. The foundation and specialist finance courses will give you knowledge of different aspects of the financial markets. You will develop skills, mathematical and quantitative skills. And these skills will assist you in understanding the financial decision-making process. Also, as part of this course, and as a core course, you will study a capstone course, which is an applied hands-on learning experience. And this course is designed to consolidate the knowledge and skills which you have acquired by studying other finance courses. Next slide, please. Let's now talk about the career options available after you graduate from the finance major. Due to COVID, currently in the domestic and international markets, overall, the employment prospects are very challenging. Now, this is not the case for the financial and insurance services sector. It is expected that the employment prospects in the financial and insurance services sector will grow by 9.3% in the next 5 years. And this will position you to launch careers in different industries such as banking, funds management, superannuation, and also working with different government organizations. In the past, 90% of students who have studied finance at RMIT have been successful in getting employed within 4 months of graduation. Next slide, please. Now, while doing the finance major, you will not just develop the skills and get the knowledge. You will learn about how you can think, analyze, and problem solve. Now, this is very important in today's time as it makes you suitable for a vast range of occupations. And more importantly, you'll be desired by a wide range of employers. The graduate exit survey shows that our graduate work as analysts, consultants, advisors, brokers, personal bankers, and in many other different managerial roles. Next slide, please. Now, we have a very strong focus on industry as part of the Bachelor of Business degree at RMIT. RMIT Finance is one of the largest state-of-the-art trading facility. This gives you experimental trading experience by simulating tasks which are undertaken by finance professionals in a real-world scenario. When you do the finance major, you will get access and training on the Refinitiv financial data platform. And now Refinitiv is part of the London Stock Exchange Group. The advantage in doing a finance major with us is we teach you finance theories, and then using live data from the market, we train you in aspects of foreign exchange, money market, risk management. In the RMIT trading facility, we'll also teach you about the market language and conventions which are used by practitioners in the real world. Next slide, please. We align with industry partners to provide beyond the classroom experience. Over the past few years, we have worked closely with the Chartered Financial Analyst Institute, the CFA Institute. Now, when you study with us, you will get an opportunity to be part of the CFA challenge, and then you will compete with students around the globe. Now, the main advantage of being part of this challenge is that you will get an opportunity to be mentored by an industry practitioner. In addition to the CFA challenge, students can also get a chance to participate in an inter-university foreign exchange trading competition, which is again run by Refinitiv, and also an industry challenge with Mercer International, which is one of the leading firm for superannuation and investment products. By working closely with our industry partners, our team aims to achieve the mission of getting every student job ready, preparing them to be successful in the professional world. Next slide, please. The finance industry is broad, interesting, and challenging. If you have the aptitude for working with numbers, you are probably fit to pursue a finance major. And our finance team at RMIT will love to welcome you to our major in finance soon. Let me end by saying thank you for taking the time to hear about the finance major at RMIT. Back to you, Benita.
Thank you very much, Neera, for your presentation on the major of finance. And now we'll move on to the final major that we're presenting in today's information session, which will be the major of marketing. And that will be presented by Dr. Linda Robinson, who is the Associate Dean Marketing. Over to you, Linda.
Thank you very much, Benita. Marketing is very much about convincing people and persuading people, and I think my colleagues have done a great job of that already today with their majors. But now I'm going to talk to you about what a great career marketing is and why you should study marketing at RMIT. So I'm going to start by explaining what we offer in terms of the courses or subjects within our major and what that leads to in terms of career outcomes for you. Next slide, please. So marketing is fundamentally about exchange, and it exists in all aspects of our life, and it's something that's part of every business in the contemporary environment. So whether we're trying to encourage people to, next slide, please. So whether we're trying to encourage people to get a vaccination, or we're trying to sell products in supermarkets or communicate on digital platforms, or even create new digital marketplaces, we're engaging in marketing. And marketing is essentially about having the right product targeted to the right audience, having the right levels of communication, and also things like the right price, pulling all these factors together to create value for the consumer. And the beauty of marketing is that it's competitive. So whilst we're trying to do all of that for our brand, our competitors are doing the same thing. And they're also trying to convince people of the value of purchasing their product. So the challenge for marketers is about how we create what is known as a sustainable competitive advantage. That is, how can we do all of those things better than our competitors? And to achieve this, we have to use a blend of different skills that you will develop through studying a marketing major. Next slide, please. One of the things I most love about marketing is that blend of art and science. It's what really drew me into wanting to study marketing when I was choosing my bachelor degree. So if you're more scientifically minded and like things that are clean and rational, there's a strong element to marketing that is a science, such as looking at consumer psychology or the data and information that inform business decisions. For those that have a more creative side, not necessarily artistic, but more, also including things like creative problem solving, there's a lot to marketing that involves that creativity and artistic license through advertising, promotional campaigns, brand and product design. So ideally, the best marketers we find are those that can bring together the art and science. And that's something we certainly strive to teach you at RMIT in the marketing major. Next slide, please. So let's have a look at what you'll study at RMIT if you're interested in choosing a marketing major. As you can see on the screen, our marketing major is made up of 8 courses, and of those 8, 6 of those are fixed, and you'll definitely study those 6 as these provide you with a really solid and clear foundation to your studies. So starting with the basics of marketing principles, to understanding the psychology of consumers in buyer behaviour, to understanding how we gather and use information in marketing research, the exciting world of advertising and promotions that comes through marketing communications, understanding the changing environment in digital marketing, and then being able to pull it all together to make the right kinds of strategic decisions in strategic marketing. Those 6 courses form the basis of our marketing major. And from there, you'll choose an additional 2 elective marketing courses to make up that total of 8. Next slide, please. Now, you'll see here a range of all our different elective marketing courses that you're able to choose from to round out your major. And of course, while we give you a great variety of choice, and you can essentially pick any 2 of the courses here to add to the initial 6 to make up your major of 8 courses. I won't go through each of these courses that are listed here in detail because many of the names are relatively self-explanatory, but please ask us the question in the chat if you want more detail on any of them. But I do want to acknowledge that it can be a bit overwhelming at the start to see all these choices to pick from when you're choosing your degree. So we have an approach to guide you through this choice, which is what we call career couplets. In a career couplet, we guide you on which of these 2 courses to take together in order to provide you with a clear industry choice or an area of marketing that you might like to work in. So let's give you some examples of that by going to the next slide, please. Yeah, so here are 7 examples. And again, I won't go through all of them, but you'll get an idea what we mean by career couplets. For example, if you're interested in brand management, where a lot of our students end up getting jobs, we recommend that you take the applied brand management course and couple that with product innovation. These 2 courses together, when added to your marketing major, give you a chance to really specialise for a career in the brand management area. Another example for those that are interested in data analytics and consumer insights, you could take the marketing analytics course and our course in customer experience strategy, and therefore prepare yourself for that particular field, which is a huge growth area in marketing jobs. Now, these are just some of the examples, and of course, you're free to choose your own path to mix and match as you like. And if you look at the next slide, we're actually going to map out for you what it might look like in terms of studying a marketing major. Now, I might be a little bit biased in that I think that the marketing major is the perfect choice, and it certainly would make a great first choice. But even if it's not your first choice, even if you thought some of the other presentations today provide a compelling reason for you to choose that major, I'd also like to ask you to think about adding marketing as a second major in those instances, because marketing provides you with great flexibility, choice, and adaptability to work in a range of roles across all industries. Next slide, please. So why would you choose to choose RMIT to study marketing? Well, a number of different reasons. We have a fantastic teaching approach, which is all about applied and active learning, and that comes from our people who are themselves applied researchers who engage with industry, who are award-winning educators. And while we're all very proud of all the staff achievements, essentially that means that you'll get a wonderful industry-relevant learning experience, where in many of your classes, you'll be working with real brands in real situations that leads to employability, and that is, of course, what we're aiming to do. So to get you into great jobs, future-proof jobs, from small to medium-sized firms to the global brands, and of course the future brands that marketing will be central to creating, we drive your career options and ambitions through the choice of courses and career couplets that I just took you through, and some of the flexibility that comes with that. Next slide, please. So let's finish up by looking at some of the great range of jobs and careers that are available to you if you complete the marketing major, from the major multinational firms to small businesses, or indeed if you're wanting to start your own firm. Marketing is certainly global in nature, it's future-proof, and it's very much a dynamic and exciting career. As you can see from the list of job opportunities, from service and retail right through to advertising and promotion, there is a lot of demand for marketing graduates. Next slide, please. And just to give you an example of the types of jobs that are out there, these are all current jobs or relatively recently advertised jobs. The ones in blue are recent jobs from SEEK, and the ones in red are some of the actual jobs that our RMIT marketing graduates are working in. And you can see from the wonderful array of organisations and companies here, they all need marketing to survive. So there's plenty of scope for you to develop a really interesting career with a marketing major. Next slide, please. So I'd like to welcome you to join us in studying marketing at RMIT, and I encourage you to think about marketing as either your first or second major as part of your Bachelor of Business. So on behalf of all the staff who I have the great pleasure to work with, we hope we will see you studying marketing with us at RMIT. Thanks, and Benita, back to you.
Thank you very much, Linda, for your presentation on the major of marketing. Now that we have heard all about the different majors that you can potentially actually join us at RMIT as part of your Bachelor of Business, it is time for us to take some questions, and we do have a lot of questions. And I would direct the questions to the panel of experts that we have. We'll start off with one of our general questions that we have, and potentially I will get Sveta to answer that question for me. So why should I choose RMIT Business when compared to a double degree, say at Monash, as compared to Monash where we have a double degree? Does that increase employability, or the business degree allow me for multiple career options? So potentially Sveta can give an answer for that one.
Thanks, Benita. I'm happy to address that one. The benefit of RMIT is, like in Monash, you can have a double degree, double major. So you're not constrained to just one major in RMIT. You can take a double major, or you can take one major and a series of minors. The options are yours. The benefit of RMIT that I strongly believe in, and I've been here for more years than I'd like to say in public, is that our programs, all of them, irrespective of whether you do economics or finance or marketing or blockchain, they're all applied degrees. So although we have really strong theoretical underpinnings in our programs, we apply it wherever possible, whenever possible, to the world around you. And our focus is very strongly on preparing you for work itself, to make sure that when you enter the work environment, you're well aware of the requirements in industry, the skills that you will need to employ. So RMIT's really long-term strength has always been on applied studies. So I think I could be biased, but I think we far surpass most universities in these stakes, and we're well known for students or graduates with work-ready skills. Thanks,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sveta. I totally agree with you. One of the key things that we take an approach, a very applied approach at RMIT, and our graduates are very much well prepared for the relevance of industry experience and applied experience that we do provide them with. So I'll turn my attention to a few economics question, and potentially Ashton could answer the question. Do I really need a strong maths to understand economics? And also, what should I prepare to do before coming to study economics? So if Ashton can I'm combining two questions there, but pretty much that covers if I'm trying to do economics, what are the key things I need to study before coming to do economics?
Okay, thanks, Benita, for that, for throwing those questions my way. First thing is, look, just you do not need a strong maths background to excel in economics. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say, in terms of actually preparing to earn a qualification in economics, the types of things that you might want to consider doing if you are doing year 11 or 12, you could do those subjects that, the business type subjects, and the economics subject. But also, I just want to stress that's actually not necessary. In fact, the way that we teach and what we teach, whilst it might draw on some of those aspects in context, it is actually a lot different. And so really, and I think I'm answering another question there as well, and really this program that we have created is accessible to anybody and everybody, regardless of the background. But yeah, if you're looking to give yourself a little bit of just an introduction to what it is all about, then I'd say think about doing those subjects that are available to you in year 11 or 12 that are most similar to this area of specialisation. I hope that answers that question.
Thank you very much, Ashton, for that. Of course, our audience really want to hear a little bit more on economics, and I think I would get Ashton to answer that one. And I think we did touch on the presentation on that one, but of course we really want to hear what type of jobs we want to end up, and that's the whole purpose of our information session, because that's what we're preparing our graduates at RMIT. Once you finish all the different majors that you do, or you finish your Bachelor of Business, we want you to be graduate ready for the job market. So what jobs can I really get into, because economics seems to be very broad, and I'll get the economics experts, Sveta or Ashton, actually, to answer that question. What are the different types of career outcomes potentially we can have with economics?
Okay, thanks again, Benita. So I'm going to answer also another question at the same time. So I'll answer two questions in one here. So the types of jobs that you can get are quite varied, as has been duly noted. These might be in the form of someone who actually assesses information and analyses information. You might be looking at an advisor. You might be looking at a policy officer. You might be looking at a standard economist. And so sometimes you see on TV, chief economist. You could also be looking at getting a role in the area of behavioural science. Now, the types of sectors that you might end up in is banking, finance. You can end up in government. You can end up in consultancy. And when I say government, it might be actually working for, say, the federal or the state, but it also might be working for different offshoots of the government. So the ATO, the RBA, and so on and so forth. You also might be working in a think tank or in a charity. Really, all of these areas use the skills that we teach you, as well as the big corporates. So you could be working for one of the big manufacturers, and so on and so forth. It really is, the choice is quite varied. And we certainly have students that end up in many, many different sectors. And one thing that we'd advise you to do is, when you do enroll and when you do start doing your studies, is you start to learn about the different jobs that are available out there, and start to make those decisions that you'll need to make at the end of your qualification. The other thing also I'd say here, and there was a question a little bit further down, it was actually in terms of internships. There are lots of different opportunities, and there are lots of different organisations that actually offer this, as well as graduate programs. And if Sveta was on the screen at the moment, she'd probably roll her eyes at me, because the number of times that I email her saying, can you please share this particular thing amongst students? And literally, I'm doing it a couple of times a week sometimes, in terms of asking Sveta to share actually with us students the different opportunities that are there. The other way also, just very quickly, Benita, I'll steal another question here as well, is that in terms of the CV building, and having an internship is really helpful for that. But also, we are sponsored for an award by the Economic Society. We also have other competitions that our students are able to enter, such as the the Reserve Bank of Australia essay writing competition. And so there's lots of different ways to learn what career that you'd like to be in, to learn what sector that you actually want to be in. There are lots of different ways to differentiate yourself. And I've got to say, more holistically, RMIT will provide you additional help in terms of applying for these types of roles, and in terms of learning how to write a CV, and so on and so forth. And so really, yes, it is broad. But there are ways, and throughout your actual study will help you work out what is the best choice for you, at least initially. But as I said, even if it doesn't turn out to be your long-term choice, with economics, you can transition. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ashton, for your response and covering some of the other questions we have on economics. Definitely at RMIT, over the years of your studies, we will be providing you with a lot of support in terms of CV writing, and as well as you would have a number of experience along your way in terms of, as Ashton has just mentioned, a number of challenges, industry engagement opportunities, where you would have a lot of options presented to you, where you would have opportunities, and from there you can build further on career opportunities. I have a general question, and I would direct that question to Linda Robinson, who has both had as an associate dean and a program manager. And let us talk COVID. COVID has impacted all of us, and we all want to hear how has COVID impacted our courses at RMIT and the way students learn and study at RMIT. And I think you're the perfect one to answer that one, Linda.
That's a great question, and I'm sure so many of you have experienced the transition between learning in person to learning online in the past 2 years. I think it has impacted each of our courses in a slightly different way. No one course, is representative of everyone, so it does impact finance a little bit differently to how it's impacted marketing. But I must say, I think we've done a really great job, and our students have transitioned really well, as house staff, in moving to online learning at this time. And as we move out of COVID, you'll see that the industry as a whole, the higher education industry, was moving towards a model of blended learning. So that's building on-demand learning content that you do online in your own time with a mixture of in-person or asynchronous learning. So you'll start to see that our courses are designed to deliver that education in a variety of ways that help people learn in person or together with others, whether it's in a virtual webinar or if it's physically in a classroom together, which we're all hoping to be in the very near future. But as well as doing some of that online learning yourself through recorded videos and interactive activities online. The transition at RMIT, I think, was relatively smooth in that we were already set up to do a lot of online learning before the pandemic hit. So a lot of our staff were already skilled and had developed online learning courses for pure online programs, such as the program I manage in the Master of Marketing. We had already a purely online program before the pandemic hit, so a lot of our staff were trained, and the ability to train and support our other staff was there. And the learning experience for students, I think, has been relatively smooth and has really prepared us for the future of learning, which is a blended approach. So thanks, Benita. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Linda. Definitely, we have been very well prepared. Well, no one expected to have COVID, but when it comes to blended learning approach as a university, we've had an online presence way before we've had COVID. So the transition has been quite smooth at RMIT, and we're still delivering on a great student experience. I'll totally agree with Linda on that one. I'll direct a question to Stuart now on blockchain, and we've heard about career outcomes when it comes to economics, but of course blockchain is a very fascinating and appealing area, as the question flags, and the question our attendee really wants to know if there are good career opportunities for working in blockchain now and in the future, and do I need to specialize in particular subjects to work in blockchain? So over to you, Stuart.
Thanks, Benita. Yep, I've actually just pushed send on a typed out answer to that in the chat. But look, it's really fair to say that that the blockchain space and the opportunities that are coming up in blockchain are evolving all of the time. Just to illustrate, in my area of work, which, as I mentioned earlier, is in RMIT's blockchain hub, we would have a new project or a new industry partner coming to us, without exaggeration, probably 2 to 3 times a week. And they all present new business opportunities. They all present new kinds of roles, even, and new ways of thinking about things. For example, I'm working at the moment with a venture capital firm that's looking at a new way of constructing venture capital investment funds through blockchain. I'm also working with a group in the music industry, which is looking at new ways of connecting fans and artists and protecting artists' intellectual property in the music and the performing arts. We're working with a major sporting league. I'm not going to name them because I'm not allowed to at the moment, which is building a fan connection and non-fungible token, digital collectible environment and market for their fans, as well as working in cryptocurrency exchanges and the very, very big firms. We work a lot with firms like IBM, Accenture, Oracle, the major banks, most of the major tech firms. The opportunities are just, as well as social enterprises like Red Cross and Oxfam and a couple of other startups in that space. It's touching just about every sector that you can think of. And there is a desperate shortage of skills of people who can, without being glib, who can spell blockchain, let alone do stuff with it. So the opportunities are huge. There are kinds of jobs that we never thought of existing even 2 years ago. So we're seeing jobs come across our desks for things like token designer and token director, which is all about things to do with smart contracts and how they're used in certain applications. But really, the job growth is spectacular. The kinds of jobs are evolving all of the time. There are the traditional sorts of consulting and business analyst type jobs in the big firms. They will always be there. But the new kinds of opportunities are unfolding. And many, many people are just bypassing that whole getting a job thing and embarking on their own startups, coming up with an idea and embarking on their own startups in this space. So the universe of things that you can do in blockchain is just huge and unfolding all the time.
Thank you very much, Stuart, for your response. I think we'll take a quick, pretty much final question, which I'll merge with another question, and I'll direct that to Nirav. Of course, we are all stressed with exams, and I know our Year 12 students are getting ready for exams and so on, but we want to hear, I don't know why we are interested in finance courses and exams, but let's talk about exams at RMIT. Do we have exams? The question is specifically for finance courses, exams at RMIT, and also a quick response around a lucky last question that I'm going to flag. Our industry connection, we are renowned at RMIT for industry connection and work experience. Which companies, organization, now each and every disciplines would have different companies, but what are the key competition and companies we try and connect to provide student experience? So potentially Nirav can touch base on that very quickly on those two questions.
Thank you, Banita, for the question. Now, when you do a finance major with the School of Economics, Finance and Marketing, none of the disciplines have an exam. When you do a major, we take a very applied approach and we have authentic assessments, assessments that replicate what is expected from you in the real world scenario. And this will allow you to be job ready. And that is, our mission, that once you finish your degree, you should be ready for the work environment. Now, all these assessments which are designed, we have worked very closely with our industry partners, taken inputs to them so that whichever assessments are there in the course, they replicate what the students are expected to do in the real world. Also, for the finance discipline, we have the trading facility, which is one of the largest in Australia. And here you do experimental trading, which is simulating tasks which are expected in the real world. And this gives you further applied training to our students, making them ready for the working environment. For example, in courses, you learn how to value a company that is listed on the stock market, how to create a portfolio of shares and bonds, how would you manage risk in a company, and so on. We also invite speakers from the industry to give guidance to our students on assisting them and guiding them on the assessment part, telling them what would be required by them if they are working in the real business. To answer the second part of the question, we do have in finance a lot of competitions, as I have flagged in my speech. We work closely with CFA, and our students participate in the Chartered Financial Analyst Challenge competition. In this competition, students work as a team and they are mentored by academic from RMIT as well as from a professional staff who is working in the industry. So that really helps them to get ready for the work environment. We also have other companies like Mercer, Refinitiv, who conduct different challenges for our students. This is again very good for your CV, and this really prepares you for the market and get ready for the job. I hope this answers the question. Thank you, Banita.
Thank you very much, Nirav. So I think in the interest of time, that pretty much answers most of the question that we've had. And some of the questions have also been answered in the chat function already. So I would now take time to thank you all for attending the session and all our presenters for presenting on the different majors that we had. Thank you once again all for joining us. And please don't forget to visit our study page at study@RMIT page. And more importantly, there will be more information session that will be held during our main, the live chat that will be on the main event on Sunday, 29th of August. Thank you very much for attending this session on the 4 different majors that we have presented today. Thank you very much.
All right. Well done, everyone.
Okay, done.
We're still getting quite a few questions in the chat, so we'll leave that open